It is a fine morning when an old school sedan is seen dashing at an advisable speed for a suburban area. He is Rainer Wenger, a teacher in a local secondary school, and he seems to have a great time driving to the place where he works. He enjoys his time on the road while singing rock and roll high school. When he arrives at the school, he meets his wife, Anka Wenger, who later tells him to meet Mrs. Coolidge since she was looking for him earlier. In Mrs. Coolidge's room, apparently, he is instructed to teach an autocracy class despite his anarchy background knowledge and experience that he is supposed to share an anarchy class. Shocked when he heard Mrs. Coolidge's sudden instruction, he can do nothing but argue. Yet, she offered a way for him to ask Mr. Wieland, a teacher that replaces him in anarchy class. Fortunately, he bumps into Mr. Wieland in the school hallway and asks him right away. Not in his luck today, Mr. Wieland refuses to change his subject. He insists on taking that subject for good. He assumes that it will be too dangerous if Rainer teaches the class, and he leaves Rainer behind afterward without needing to hear any other arguments. Marco sneaks into the theater room in the hope of not disturbing his friends and his girlfriend, Caro, who are in the middle of a practice. Suddenly, the stage breaks into arguments because Ferdy messes up the dialogue. That condition gets more serious, making them stop the session since no one can do anything about that. Walking outside, Marco and Caro are having small talks. They decide to sign up for the autocracy class for the project week. Not long after that, Marco has to rush himself to his water polo training. There is a party later that night. Most of the students can be seen having fun there. Behind the building, there are Kevin, Shinan, and Bomber who are just hanging out. That is the time when Tim arrives and hands them weed while not expecting any payments or anything. Rainer is taking a good swim that morning on the lake where he has his floating house before he teaches his first day of autocracy class. In the class, Rainer is known for his unorthodox manner of teaching, where he lets his students call him by his first name. Even in the process of learning, he's very casual in the class and just lets the activity flow between students' conversations and opinions about autocracy. As modern Germans, his students don't think that a dictatorship as an aspect of autocracy could be founded in contemporary Germany. Time flies, and after a short break, the class has come to the time where they need to decide on the activity for their project week. Intrigued by the previous statement from his students, and in order to better illustrate how authoritarian governments work, Rainer suggests a role-playing experiment. First, he changes the seating arrangement in a direction facing the front of the class. And to keep going, the class needs a central figure. Thus, Rainer is voted to be the leader, and he initiates the changes by demanding that all students should address him as Herr Wenger, as opposed to Rainer. He also demonstrates discipline, even to small things like telling the students to fix their sitting posture and not forgetting the reason that makes sense. In the class, the students must get up and say concise, carefully thought out responses if they want to speak aloud. It barely starts off nicely because there are sometimes objections from his students, mostly a student named Mona saying that it is getting too far. The three bullies, Kevin, Shinan, and Bomber keep refusing to follow the brand new rules and end up quitting the class. Although eventually two of the three students eventually return to class after reconsidering it. The next day, the students are asked to stand up and do a little physical warming up session, and they just follow him right away without any rejection. Then, Rainer demonstrates to his students the results of marching in unison while motivating them by implying that they would seriously irritate the class below them, which is the anarchy class. Rainer also is seen to change the seating arrangement by placing the students with poor grades beside students with good grades, supposedly so they may grow as a group and take lessons from one another. They need to move as one collective. Rainer even lets the students cheat on the exam by copying their classmates' answers if it would benefit them in the future. In the next session, Rainer's class is seen to be expanding, and the two students from the anarchy class are interested to join the autocracy class. Further, in order to eliminate class differences and deeper integrate the group, Rainer proposes that each student must wear a white shirt and jeans. Most of the students agree, and they even help each other with it. But, Mona once again complains that it will also eliminate individuality. And as a result, Mona departs the project group because she finds her classmates' embrace of fascism disgusting. While at the other side, the other students don't see any correlation between their involvement in fascism because they believe that the movement has only positive effects. That evening, while most of the students are preparing for their dress code for the next class, Tim, who is seen as a little bit more excited than the others, even burns all of his brand name clothes after a previous discussion about how major companies do not accept accountability for their acts. He does that whilst wearing his white shirt since he now feels emotionally bonded to the group after finally being welcomed as a member of a social group. The next day, Caro decides to not wear the white shirt, although she tried wearing it before, saying that it does not fit her style and the whole dress code stuff is stupid. When Caro arrives for class without the uniform, she is shocked to see that everyone else is wearing white shirts and jeans. Since they are now a collective, the students recommend picking a name, and they propose various names but then settle on Die Welly, the wave, which is suggested by Marco. Another name suggested by Caro receives only one vote in the end, which is from herself. Believing that they are now one unit, Reiner encourages his students to contribute to the group. Shinon is asked to make the group's logo while Kasky makes the MySpace page. Former bullies Shinon and Bomber are seen changing for the better as the group comes closer together. They immediately spring into action, defending Tim when they see Tim, the class freak, is approached by two punks forcing him to give them drugs. Reiner begins to appreciate his newfound position of unshakable respect and utter devotion as his influence over his students develops. Contrary, Reiner's integrity among his colleagues and primarily his wife as a fellow teacher begins to deteriorate. It's never obvious if Reiner really comprehends what he's doing with his students, or how the experiment is impacting him personally. He just loves seeing his class become proactive, contributing what they have to the group. But what he does not see is his students' desire to be led, and Reiner's desire to lead. The situation has gotten serious. Later that night, the Wave members start spray painting their logo all over the city, to let the people know about their existence. The next day in the school, Bomber suggests a salute, to even solidify their identity. Along with Caro's departure from the class, she witnesses her little brother acting like a guard for the Wave outside the school, preventing anyone who does not wear a white shirt to come in. Assuming that it is a concerning influence from the Wave, she privately protests to Reiner. She criticizes the growing exclusivity that will be generally isolating and harassing everyone who is not a member of their group. She asks him to stop the movement, but it receives a negative response from Reiner. Feeling upset, Caro and Mona plan to create a movement to alarm everyone about the Wave. That evening, when strolling around the city, Tim, Bomber, and Shinon are confronted by a group of punks that previously bullied Tim. They get into a fight when suddenly Tim pulls out a gun that makes everyone startled but successfully scares off the punks. After making even his friends frightened, Tim confesses that the gun is actually just a toy and will not shoot real bullets. The next day, Marco asks Caro to join the party with his friends, but Caro feels disgusted saying that they will discriminate against the others that are not included in the Wave. She tries to convince Marco about the movement that has been going too far. She proves that by showing him about other students experiencing intolerance on social media. Unfortunately, Marco insists on refusing it. That evening, Tim subsequently appears at Reiner's home and offers to serve as his bodyguard. Tim is welcomed inside by Reiner, who explains that no security is required for him in his daily routine. Reiner's already stressful relationship with his wife, who believes the experiment has gone too far, is further strained as a result. In the end, Reiner kicks Tim out of his home, only to discover the next morning that the kid had slept on his doorstep. Caro's continued efforts to draw more attention to the Wave's wrongdoing finally upset several members of the organization, who then go to her lover Marco and beg him to take action. Reiner also discovers that their vandalism has gotten into the news. He is full of anger when he comes into the class and tells everyone that their action has gotten to the extremes and that they will change into something that is out of control. The conflict peaks that evening at the water polo game venue where their school is having a competition with another school. Bomber guards the venue entrance and only allows anyone that wears a white shirt. That results in Mona and Caro not having access to watch the game although her boyfriend is playing. That angers Caro. Then, given help by Mona, she tries to come inside through the unguarded back door and starts throwing off the flyers about stopping the Wave to the game supporters. That sets the room for more chaos between the schools that was previously triggered by the other school's supporters that unintentionally made Kevin mad. After the game, Caro and Marco argue. Then Marco loses his temper and punches Caro, emphasizing how out of hand the experiment has gotten. Full of guilt, Marco then comes to Reiner's house and requests that he should stop the project. Marco is instructed by Reiner to leave it up to him. Reiner then invites all the Wave members to gather in the school auditorium the next day. When all the students arrive at the gathering, Reiner locks the doors and starts rousing them with shouts that they will take over Germany and restore things to the way they should be. The entire class is clapping and cheering. Marco gets confused since Reiner does not say what he promised to say the previous day. Seeing all of the students get dumbfounded, Reiner orders for the traitor to be taken to the podium when Marco rises to protest their behavior in the middle of Reiner's speech. Then, He immediately confronts the students when the four guys bring Marco to the front of the class, asking them how far they would have gone and if they would have murdered Marco if he would have requested it, ignoring how immoral the act is. Apparently, Reiner was only acting and was using this gathering to put the kids to the test and see how extreme the wave had become. Reiner declares that the wave has been disbanded, but Dennis believes that they should strive to save the positive effects of the movement. Reiner claims that there is no way to eliminate autocracy's harmful characteristics. He reminds the students of their statement that it would be impossible for Germany to have another dictatorship at the beginning of the project week, and the majority of the students appear to experience guilt and regret upon realizing that they have been actively supporting one. Some students contend that the wave has also resulted in beneficial outcomes, but Reiner insists that it must come to a stop since the drawbacks far exceed the benefits in too many aspects. Seeing the movement falling apart right in front of his very eyes, Tim, who claims that the wave has taken on a life of its own, behaves irrationally. As a result of his mental breakdown, he takes out a handgun, surprising all the spectators in the room, unwilling to believe that the wave is gone because he does not want to lose everything he's worked for. When Bomber claims that the rifle only fires blanks and attempts to seize it. At that very moment, Tim shoots his new buddy Bomber when the latter attempts to calm him down, injuring him, revealing that the gun has real rounds. When Tim argues why he shouldn't shoot Reiner as well, Wenger, eaten by the sudden threat, responds that without him, there would be no one to lead the wave, and it would disappear anyhow. Tim, completely overtaken by misery, shoots himself in the head, choosing to commit suicide rather than continue living without mobility. That very eerie scenery happens to traumatize all of the students that attend the gathering. Next to Tim's body, Reiner collapses to his knees and stares blankly at his groups of students. Reiner, terrified, cradles his body and watches helplessly as his own pride and recklessness have left his entire class damaged for the rest of their life. Reiner is then arrested and driven away by police, Bomber is brought to the hospital, and Marco and Caro are reunited. What do you think about this movie? Subscribe to watch more videos like this, turn on notifications, and leave a like and comment to help the channel out. Thank you for watching, and see you next time.